Vice President Kamala Harris has spoken out on Florida's new Black History curriculum. There's also, I guess, a DeSantis Nazi ad video out there. People really are trying to make DeSantis out to be a white supremacist and a Nazi. And, of course, he is the governor of the state of Florida.
Terrible.
So he is involved with this new Black History curriculum. But I don't know who wrote it, but I was told that there were some African Americans that helped write this curriculum.
African American scholars wrote the curriculum.
But
Ron DeSantis didn't write it.
This is what the vice president said. I'll quote her. She says, they insult us in an attempt to gaslight us, and we will not stand for it. I guess there's lessons in this curriculum that talk about how slaves develop skills that could be used for their benefit, and that
Not during slavery.
That upsets
that's
a lot of African Americans.
It's absurd.
What's absurd about it?
Wait,
it's not true.
What do you mean? What's not?
It's not true.
Who am I talking to?
Go ahead.
Who am I talking to?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead. I'll let him.
But he was the one making the point. Like I was talking to him. He said that black folks didn't develop any skills when they were enslaved.
And I'm asking, what the fuck is this? Like, are you kidding me? So black people just develop skills while in slavery is what you're saying?
You're saying they didn't develop any skills? That they were unable to develop skills while they were in some of the most horrendous conditions ever, but were resilient enough to develop skills? You saying they didn't?
Survival skills like how to live and not get lynched by these goddamn white folk.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a lot like that. It was a lot like that.
I know.
Yeah, I just said that. The most horrendous conditions possible. But what you're saying is they were unable to learn any skills.
They didn't learn them there. Once they were freed, they were the ones who went to school afterwards and learned trades and became amazing Americans that we should all learn from. But it had nothing to do with somebody behind them telling them what the fuck to do. I can assure you that somebody didn't invent the vacuum because he was picking cotton or some shit like that. Like, no, those aren't the skills he needed to fucking be that person. Sorry.
I'm talking about generations later, though.
No, there's no generations later.
You can't.
Let me talk for 1 second because you guys are getting hyperbolic.
Go ahead.
Just calm down.
I learned this in school.
What you're saying? You learned what?
Black history, dude. I grew up in Gary, Indiana. Take a shot. Like I freaking learned Black history.
We're trying to be specific about it, though. We're trying to talk about it.
What? Make your point.
Yeah.
Make your point.
Well, I think my point is like a lot of people didn't even read back then. So people like Frederick Douglass learned to read through another person who was enslaved, who was cooking in the house that they were enslaved at. So he learned how to read through her. He took that knowledge of how to read and became one of the most prolific writers in American history. So that's all I'm saying. People did develop skills.
All right.
They were resilient enough, even though they were in those shit conditions, to develop skills.
Let me jump in real quick.
In that perspective,
I can say some on this whole panel that nobody can say. I knew who my great-great-grandma was.
Sure.
She lived up until she was 80-something. She's the daughter of sharecroppers that her grandparents were slaves who she knew. I knew this woman. I slept in her bed. She told me all the stories.
And I don't discount those stories that slavery is horrible. Exactly, right?
I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying.
You don't understand, TK. Like,
I get it. You're trying to say I shouldn't be able to talk about it, but I do have an opinion about it.
It's really hard.
It's not a good thing.
You can talk about it. Nobody says not. But it's really hard to make an opinion about something that you really don't know.
Well, you're asking us to teach history in schools. You're asking us to teach African American history. Then you're now asking me not to learn it.
No, TK, don't. Let's
or
not
talk
try,
about
let's
it.
Not try to, no,
you just said that.
No, but we talking about DeSantis right now.
It's true.
This is the one. He's the one out here doing.
I didn't ask you to agree with what I said. I said
all fucked up shit
terrible.
when it comes to all different races and all this other shit and genders. DeSantis is doing that shit. Ain't nobody even been fucking with that guy. He's picking fights with everybody. He's showing who he is.
It's not really a fight, really, is it?
We fight the woke in the legislature. We fight the woke in the schools. We fight the woke in the corporations. We will never, ever surrender to the woke mob. Florida is where woke goes to die.
It's just talking about the curriculum in schools. It shouldn't be a big fight, should it?
We
in this day and age when we just talked about how.
Wait a minute. So you mean if you're gonna teach history, because I'm a big history guy.
Okay.
And a lot of things that I learned about history, I had to learn on my own because they weren't taught in schools. But the fact of the matter is, if white people want people to know about American history, well, bitch, if you want to learn American history, Black history is American history. There's no ifs and buts.
We know that. Everyone knows that.
That's true.
The Black experience and the slavery is a huge part of the American experience. It's how we've made our union more perfect.
But you know who don't acknowledge that? Crazy ass white people. Crazy ass white people.
That's racist. That's racist.
It ain't. You know what's racist? Getting hung up by a goddamn tree and your neck snapped by white people.
That is also racist. Yes.
Or they may burn you and they all take pictures in town pictures and they all pose. Which DeSantis, another thing he doesn't want to be shown.
All this shit you're saying is to shut me down from us having a conversation, and I am not afraid of it.
I'm giving you facts.
So just keep going.
Let me ask you, what did you learn history in school? Let me ask you that.
What are you talking about? What?
We in the same,
I didn't pay attention in school.
Oh, so if you didn't pay attention in school, you can't give a
I pay attention now. I'm older. I care now.
No.
He said I care now.
No.
Where are you? Where are you now? We were talking about something specific. You are hyperbolic. You're out of control.
I am very good.
You learned a new word. I like it.
You just don't want to hear the fact. It's like a Republican.
What are we talking about? Talk about something specific.
I'm talking specifically.
We're going to have to move on to the next subject before you stop filibustering.
Filibustering, you can call whatever fuck
Talk about a specific issue.
You don't know history.
What
you don't know nothing about American history.
New shirt, new language.
All right, let's. There's 216 pages, but it seems like, and I know we're part of the media, so we're probably part of the problem. But what everybody wants to talk about is that one line in the 216 pages where it says slaves develop skills in which in some instances could be applied for their personal benefit. That's the line right out of the 216-page document. And this is what we're talking about.
But don't put the fucking line in there. We'll be
Take it out.
good.
Yeah.
That's easy. Don't do dumb shit.
That's fine. Take the line out.
And here's the thing. A lot of them learned it in spite of their freaking life. They would die over learning that shit. And why don't we celebrate the white people who
you're saying
helped,
they learned it.
But
you just said they learned it.
If they did.
You just said they did.
They had to.
Did you know black people used to get killed if they learned how to read? If the master or somebody knew that they
weren't allowed
knew how to read,
that
true. Slave got killed.
That's true. And they still learned. Because they weren't scared.
You know who
and they still did it.
You know how they learned? Because
I'm sticking up for them.
No,
awesome.
Fuck, you can't stick. No, fuck that. You can knock that shit the fuck off right now. You can't fuck that because you don't know what the fuck you talking about. Excuse my language.
Most
of these slaves,
make a point and stop attacking me. Because great minds talk about ideas and small minds talk about people. And y'all just keep attacking me.
I'm not attacking you.
I ain't fucking scared.
I didn't attack you at all.
You
I never attacked you.
Oh, you are.
I never attacked you. Not one time.
I can't talk about it over and over again.
What you talking about?
I would never attack you.
What you're saying, but you don't know what the hell you talking about.
It's not the correct history. Just not that part right there puts a light on it that wasn't there.
What is not correct?
It wasn't there.
What is not correct?
They didn't. It makes it sound like they learned it because they were allowed to learn it, and
nobody said
they
that.
Weren't.
I did not say that. I said they were not allowed to learn it, and they still learned it.
Gentry, hold on, time out, mediation. Gentry, did I say he said that? I said they made it sound. I'm saying
I don't think they did.
The comment
they just
in the
said they
okay,
learned
but see,
the
that's
skills.
what I'm saying.
That's all they said.
I understand where you're coming from and saying what you're saying, but what I'm saying is I don't take it that way, so I think it means something different, and he thinks it means something different as well. Like other people take it's interpreted differently by people who know differently. So I think it's just something that shouldn't be said because they're right. There are tons of great people and probably tons of facts about what they did. I learned them all, but like that's what it should be about. That.
And let me say something.
Not anything else.
Let me say something, and then we can move on, right? Why mean such more to me? Because, one, I know my ancestors. I actually got a chance to touch them, hug them.
Sure.
You see what I'm saying? I know their history. I'm just that close.
But I'm being asked to know it. Our kids are being asked to know it. So it should just be on a level playing field.
No, they
it's not more important that you know it than me. It's our history. You said that Black history is American history. You just said Black history is American history. That means it's my history. You're trying to talk over me, but I'm making a good point, and I made it. I made my point. I made my point. You said Black history is American history, which means it's all of our history.
And you should know it. You should know it, but you went.
Then I should be able to talk about it.
Okay. But you don't know shit to talk about.
That's enough. That's enough.
Fine.
That's enough.
Good job. That's
if
cool.
you don't, you
great
can't
combo.
talk about something that you don't know
That's a great
anything
conversation.
You just said I'm supposed to learn it.
Please do.
Learn it.
That's awesome. Yeah,
do
that's
your
awesome.
research.
All right, let's
Do your
move on.
research.